Let's get right into it. When you look at the economic story of Black women in America, it's a story of extremes. It's this incredible push and pull between huge, systemic roadblocks and, at the very same time, some absolutely amazing, groundbreaking success stories. And this slide just lays that contradiction bare. On the one hand, you've got a real salary from a Black woman in tech, a senior product manager, making $330,000 a year. Wow. And on the other hand, the average student debt for Black women a year out of college, more than 41 grand. So how can both of these things be true at the exact same time? That's what we're going to figure out.
So first up, we have to talk about the headwinds. What are the systemic things that are actually creating this massive wealth gap in the first place?
Let's just start with this one number, 90%. That's how much less wealth Black women have compared to white men in the US. I mean, think about that for a second. For every single dollar a white man has in wealth, a Black woman has just 10 cents. And we're not just talking about income here. This is about savings, property, investments, the whole foundation for financial security. And a huge reason for that wealth gap is, you guessed it, the pay gap. 64 cents for every dollar a white man earns. That difference doesn't just disappear at the end of the week. No way. It compounds, it snowballs year after year over a whole career. It means less money to save, less to invest, and a much harder time building that financial foundation.
Now, here's the twist. The very thing that's supposed to be the great equalizer, education, is actually making that gap worse for many Black women. It's a path to mobility, for sure, but it comes at a seriously high price.
The student debt crisis in America is it's staggering. We're talking $1.7 trillion. But get this, women hold almost 2/3 of all of it. So right off the bat, you can see that burden isn't being shared equally at all. And if we zoom in even closer and break it down by race, well, the picture gets crystal clear. This chart shows it all. Black women carry the heaviest student debt load of any group. They're averaging over $41,000 in debt just 1 year out of undergrad. So what does that actually feel like month to month? Well, this sample budget tells that story perfectly. You cover the big things: housing, car, food, childcare. And then that student loan payment hits, over $300 a month. And suddenly you're in the red. There's literally more month than money. Okay, so that's the tough part of the story. But that is not the whole story. Not by a long shot. Because at the same time, another story is unfolding. One of incredible ambition, smart career moves, and real financial success. Check this out. This is from a Reddit thread with high-earning Black women. She's 28 years old, a senior product manager in tech, making $330,000. But what she says next is so important. Her primary driver? The fear of being poor again. You see, for so many, it's not just about getting rich. It's about building a wall of security so you never have to go back to being broke. And here's another voice, this time from a lawyer. She says the money has been life-changing. And why? Because she didn't come from money. So this income is letting her do things that break that cycle. Buying a house, saving for retirement, things that build generational wealth from scratch. Over in medicine, you see a similar kind of trade-off. An OBGYN making mid-300s right after her training. She's really honest about it. The debt is high, she sacrificed her 20s, but the payoff? Total financial stability and a job she clearly loves. It's a calculated risk that pays off. And what's crucial to understand is that these are not just a few random one-off stories. This is a real trend. This table gives you a snapshot of all the different fields where Black women are earning 6 figures and up. Yeah, you see tech, medicine, and law, but also finance and even high-level jobs in government and defense. The pathways to success are really starting to open up. Now, besides climbing that corporate ladder, there's another huge trend reshaping everything. Black women aren't just trying to get a seat at the table anymore. They're deciding, you know what, I'm just going to build my own. Just let this number sink in for a second. An 80.8% jump in revenue for businesses owned by Black women in just 5 years. According to a Wells Fargo report, that's not just growth, that is an economic explosion. But, and this is a big but, there's a paradox inside this boom. While Black women own a pretty significant 14% of all businesses owned by women, those same businesses are only generating about 3.6% of the revenue. So there's a disconnect there, a big gap between ownership and scale. And so often, this entrepreneurial fire is lit by necessity. Take Shaylo Collier, the founder of Black Women Invest. She says losing her dream job was the wake-up call. It made her realize her financial future was totally up to her. So she didn't just find a new job, she built a whole community to help other women take control of their own financial destinies. Okay, so when you put all of this together, what does it all mean? Well, it seems to point to a two-pronged approach for moving forward. It's about combining powerful individual action with some very necessary systemic change. So on one side, you've got what you can do yourself. And experts like Shaylo Collier really focus on practical financial knowledge. It starts with the basics, figuring out your own comfort level with risk, setting really clear goals. Is it a house? Is it retirement? And then picking the investment strategy that's actually right for you. But look, personal finance is only half the battle. You can't out-budget a broken system. That's where policy comes in. Researchers point to a whole list of changes we need. Things like tackling student debt, actually enforcing equal pay, getting more capital to entrepreneurs, and fighting discrimination in the housing market. So why should everyone care about closing these gaps? It's not just a fairness issue, it's straight up economics. This is stunning. The Wells Fargo report shows that if we just close the revenue gap between businesses owned by Black women and businesses owned by Black men, it could pump an extra $1.8 trillion into the U.S. economy. This is a massive economic opportunity for everybody. So that's where we are. The potential is right there. A massive $1.8 trillion on the table. It's a story of incredible resilience, and there's this huge economic engine just waiting to be fully unleashed. The only question left is, what will it take for us to finally unlock it?